Of course, in the previous presentation, I was already telling the kind of the highlights of our case, but I want a little bit deeper in it now from the circularity standpoint, because, as I said, it's not only how do we grow fish, it's actually how do we process the fish, how we consume the fish in the future, how do we handle all the streams of waste, of all kind of things, and how do we turn it back to the production? Because the thing is such that with the current commodity prices, with the current prices in general, we should not lose a single gram of the raw material. And this sentence would not be relevant a year ago, or at least we would not think about it. But now when you think about the prices of the raw materials in general, this is a very essential thing. Click. Finnforel is a Finnish company. It's a small startup, but growing very fast. And actually, in the previous round, we got very international new shareholders, additional shareholders, but it's family-controlled company. And now in the next round, in Q3, we will have even more international team behind us. Click. As I said, the problem is massive. In general, the whole food production must be done in a way where that there is no waste, or there is a minimum amount of waste. There is a minimum amount of emissions in general. And as I said already earlier, the traditional suppliers of food and traditional suppliers of fish, they don't care much about this. There are already certain certificates, ASC certificate, there are all kind of things, but if you go deep to the process and the whole chain, the real sustainability is very, very, very far away. And that's why we are talking a real thing. And I think we don't need to argue about if this is important or not. As I said, by 2030, which is in 8 years, in European Union, and I hope that same in United States, it's not allowed to produce any more food if you are generating emissions and waste to the nature. If the governments will not solve it, the consumers will be very strict on it. And it means that a lot of investments done so far, for example, offshore fish farming or fishery, will be lost. But it's a typical in disruption. It's a typical in disruption. I mean, there is nothing strange. Same that there are a lot of factories today making diesel engines which are not very relevant in 2030 anymore. So it's just the name of the game. Click. The other dimension which is driving the business is the fact that more and more consumers are moving from the red meat to fish. And just to give you an idea, it's not only some kind of ideological thing, but if you think this corner here on the right side, today, if you produce 1 kilogram of beef, you need about 7 kilos of feed. If you produce 1 kilo of pork meat, you need 3 kilos of feed. And chicken is somewhere in between. Today, when in our gigafactory in Finland, we are producing 1 kilogram of steelhead or rainbow trout or salmon, we need 1.05 kilogram of feed for 1 kilogram of fish. And if you think that the feed in general, because of the wheat price going up, is now 40% up, and you need 8 times more feed for meat kilogram, red meat, then we call in Finland it as a competitive advantage. I don't know how you call it here in Seattle, but in Finland we call it like this. Click. This you have already seen, and this is perhaps the one thing what is important here is that our method of making land-based fish farming, it's not only sustainable, it's not only these elements, but there is an important point that we are producing with a steady pace 365-day fish. So there is no seasonality, because when you do something offshore, fish is just naturally, there is a seasonality. That's why the fish price goes up and down, there is a big volatility. just before Christmas or in the fall time, there's a lot of pumping, big fish producers, price goes down, then in the springtime, price goes up, and retailers hate this. They simply hate it. But we can deliver 365 days with the steady price, with the steady supply, and the variation of supply in Gigafactory is under 1%, the volatility. In Finland, it's not even called volatility. Click. These are the measurable facts. So if you take the emissions, so to say, phosphorus and nitrogen, it's about 92% less than traditional fish farming. We have 100% of the fish is being used, 100% of the related waste is further processed, I will talk later, and we take about 1% of the new water to the system per day. So 99% is being circulated. And whatever is being returned to the nature, it's returned cleaner than we took it in, based on the biological water cleaning, not a single chemical is being used on it. Click. This was already seen, so there are three elements. There is genetics, there is a lot of software, a hell of a lot of software, and then products, consumer products which are being produced inside the same factory. So we are not in the hog commodity business at all. I mean, heads cut fish. We produce always only consumer products, and for example, our test factory in Finland right today, on Friday when they start, or they have already started, the same robotized lines are shipping fish, packaging for Saudis, for Brits, for Finns, for Germans, and it's totally seamless, the process. So there is nobody even is touching it by hand. Click. And this was the Gigafactory. Click. We have a plan which was actually approved last week in our board meeting to start building gigafactories in north of England, in north of Germany, and in Bahrain, serving Saudi and the Gulf region. And it's not a big secret that while I'm in USA now, we are negotiating also with the partners to start building 2 or more gigafactories in the United States. We don't know the locations yet, but soon you will hear it. Click. Click. These are the design principles. I have already mentioned those, but perhaps the most important part is the last line. Competitors who are against this kind of a way of growing fish, they're typically saying that our products are more expensive, that the production cost, CapEx, capital expenditure, or OpEx, operational expenditure, is higher than the mass production offshore. We have actually reached now the level which is lower than the traditional fish farming in the cost, because of the preciseness of feeding, preciseness of production. The mortality of the fish is only half what it is on the offshore feed. So that's the thing which we are actually trying to aim. We will still try to improve it. And then click. Click. Then we are building those factories around the world. So the point is that we try to minimize the air cargo. So we want to be that the fish production is there where the consumers are. And this is our plan. We are still a tiny company, but this is what we are working on. Click. This is the brand what we are using, easy going products, simple to use, 3 minutes, skin down, upside down 1 minute, and your meal is ready. Very straightforward process. We are from Finland, we have no luxury to be complex. Click. And this is the purpose of my slide, actually, the purpose of where I'm coming at. So at the middle there is the Gigafactory. And just that you understand what is happening. So when 1 kilogram of fish is being produced, 1.7 kilos of sludge, meaning waste coming from the fish, goes typically to the sea. So 1 kilo fish, 1.7 kilo shit goes to the sea. That's not good. I mean, even the child can understand that. And moreover, because the price of the gas is up, because of the price of the natural gas is high, The biogas is now a good business, and that goes to the gas production. If you can take it away, and you can do it when it's land-based. And then half of it goes to the fertilizers, which goes to the plants, which goes to the fish feed. And then the fish waste, when we are processing the fish, every ton of fish generates 350 kilos of fish waste. What to do with that? In our case, we put it on the insect farm. We give it to the maggots, which will become an animal protein, goes to the feed. This is circular economy in fish production. I cannot explain it more simple way. Thank you.
Pekka, perfect. Thank you very much.